I remember like asking, how do I be successful? It was like, you cold call, you door knock, you do open houses. That's it. There's if you're not good at those things, then you should get out of the business.
Right.
And that was it. Which, I still think those are super effective ways to lead generate, but they're not the only ways.
All right, Matt, we are live, brother. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
nice space. I like it.
Thank you. You know what? We were talking earlier, and I was at the Realty Conference 2024 there, and I heard your story. I heard your talk, and I was like, okay, I got to have this guy in the show, man. It was really impressive, and your videos, I love them. They're great.
Thank you.
So there's a couple things that I want to kind of dive in today with you. Number one, I do want to talk about like your story, like, why do you even get into real estate? And what was that journey like? And was there ever a point during that time, did you think that you just weren't going to make it? Then I want to kind of jump into the art of storytelling, because you do such a great job with that. And then we'll kind of wrap it up with, what can real estate agents do in this particular climate? What's happening right now? Because it's not a very easy market. Right. There's a lot of realtors who are dropping out. Yeah. Right. So so let's dive into your story. Like, why real estate, and when did you get into it?
Yeah. So I've been in real estate. It's going to be 8 years in October.
Okay.
And I was a touring musician before. I was always kind of the fuck up. I wasn't supposed to make it anywhere. I got kicked out of high school. Got my high school diploma for those asking, but just not in school.
What high school?
Dennis O'Connor.
Okay.
In Ajax.
Okay.
Shout out to Doc. So got my diploma. I just was a touring musician for years after high school. And then I always told myself, like, once it stopped being fun, like being a musician, I would kind of take a step back, and because it was my passion, I loved to do it. And once it stopped being fun, I would just kind of, think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And then it stopped being fun. I'd be touring all over. I'd be getting paid, $100 a night sometimes if I didn't get stiffed by the promoter.
Right.
And it just got to the place, I was just like, I had a girlfriend at the time. She's my now wife, high school sweethearts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to start a life, and I was like, what can I do? And at that time I was watching $1 Million Listing. I think a lot of people have this same story.
Right.
And in particular, Ryan Serhant from $1 Million Listing really kind of resonated with me.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm going to try that. And I just looked in to how to do it, took my courses, and I didn't know what to expect. I mean, really, I thought I was going to get into the business, make millions my first year, and then I thought I'd be on a yacht by now, totally retired.
Like Tom Vu.
Yeah. So it didn't happen that way, but I got into real estate. First probably 3.5 years were completely miserable. I was just totally missing the mark consistently.
So you got in when though? Was that be 2016?
2016.
Okay, so I got mine in 2014, so a couple years after me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got in, and I think 2017 they introduced a stress test.
Yes.
So it was October 2016. I didn't really have much going, but then I had my first listing weeks before the stress test was introduced. So I sold this place in Ajax, and it was like I sold for like $680. And now it'd be worth like 1.1. But at the time, it's like, oh my God, we got in before the stress test. That's amazing. And then everything kind of went on this weird lull for, I'd say, the rest of the year and into the next year.
Yeah, you're talking like 2017.
2017.
Right? That was when Kathleen Wynn came out with the stress test. And I think it was like the foreign tax. And there might have been one other one. I can't remember now. And
I didn't even understand what any of it was. Like, I just got into the industry, and they're implementing this huge kind of game-changing thing for buyers. Like, when my brother, he's older than me, he bought his house, I think 10 years ago with 11 grand. Like he had 11 grand. He put it down. He bought it for $220 in Ajax, and he sold it 2 years later for $405. And he's a great example of like what he's done with his real estate portfolio, and how he's just moved up just his primary residence, and how he's pretty much doubled every home, and he just sells at the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got into 2016. You had a difficult time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that journey of when you got into it and how difficult it was, and what were you trying to do, and were you on a team? Were you solo? Like what was that like?
I started on a team. I think everyone should start on a team or have some type of mentor, because you really don't know all they teach you is how to not get sued.
Isn't it crazy though? Like after
wild.
I remember after I finished the course and I was like, I did my first, presentation.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Oh, dude.
I just felt completely lost.
I know. It's wild. So I started on a team, and my main role was just to do lease showings, go to buyer revisits, that kind of thing, just to get a feel. Because like I didn't even know how to open a fucking lockbox. And I don't know. Like early on, I had those ones that were like lockers. Remember? No, those ones you have to like spin.
Yeah, you got to turn it right or left, and twice right and once left.
Yeah. Like it was hard. So I was just kind of doing that. But I think where I failed the most was I was just consistently doing things I wouldn't normally do. I was trying to be someone I wasn't. I wanted to completely get rid of my past because I didn't think it was professional. So I got into the business because I thought I had a good personality. But ironically, as soon as I got in, I lost all my personality. That was just, I didn't want anyone to know my past. So I would actually go on Facebook and delete all the pictures of me playing guitar. And anything that made me, I didn't want people to see because I deemed it unprofessional.
Now, was that you that felt that way, or was it like the team lead, or was it like just, you know what I mean? Like, what shaped that belief?
I think it was me mainly, but seeing how, like, I would see how the team lead would present himself, and I didn't present myself that way. And I didn't, it's not a one-size-fits-all industry at all.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't know that. I thought, okay, if I want to be successful, I have to be him. I have to be just like him. And he doesn't post pictures playing guitar, stuff like that. So now I'm just trying to completely replicate, because even in 2016, I mean, I got in before, like, I was printing offers and getting them signed, like physically signed. Like there was no DocuSign for me yet. It just came in like...
Oh, this is where you had to run around with like three identical forms and leave one with the buyer, one with the seller, and one for yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a different time, but like, I remember like asking, how do I be successful? It was like, you cold call, you door knock, you do open houses. That's it. There's, if you're not good at those things, then you should get out of the business.
Right.
And that was it. Which, I still think those are super effective ways to lead generate, but they're not the only ways. And as I was doing that, it just got progressively worse because I would door knock, but I would be this like weird buttoned up version of myself, and I wouldn't be able to like, I'd be like, hi, my name's Matt Leonetti, and I'd put on this like weird voice and shit. And I just like couldn't get into a rhythm at all. And at the time, I'm just thinking, I'm being very professional and nothing's happening. Why isn't anything happening? But now, looking back at it now, it's like, oh, that's why. Like you're being this weird, like there's no like real person there. It was like a robot. Right. So I think there needs to be the connection aspect. We always hear like before they need to know, like, and trust you, but they need to like, before they can trust you, they do need to like you. Like they're not going to trust someone like, and not everyone's going to like every type of person. I also realized that like I couldn't be everything to everybody.
What the hard part is as well too, is because you look on social media and you're like, okay, well, this is how I'm supposed to act.
Yeah.
Or okay, I kind of like that style, and you try to be like that person.
Yeah.
But really, you should just be you, because there's nobody else that can be Matt. There's no, and that's just you. That's your personality, and you use it to your advantage. But so many people want to try to be something else that they aren't, and then they have a difficult time.
Yeah.
And then when did you kind of figure out like, oh, I should just be me? That must have been like right when you're close to quitting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started on a team, and then I did the whole like, oh, it's the team that's the problem. So I left the team and joined another team.
Right.
I had a bit more success, and I think I fit better with that team, but still wasn't what I think I was just dreading it too. Like I wasn't making a ton of money, and I was just kind of like, I didn't like what I was doing. And then I went solo and would do a deal here and there, and just, I was thinking about getting out of the business. And I started asking myself some like bigger questions. Like I stopped giving myself so much sympathy and like feeling sorry for myself, and just saying like, well, what did you really do? Did you try anything kind of that you wanted to do, or just kind of listen and take a bunch of things from everyone else and do that? So I was thinking about getting out of the business, and I was really thinking about it. Like I was interviewing at different jobs. Like
what year was this?
2019.
Okay, so you were kind of you struggled for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, beginning of 2019. I was interviewing at like I love watches. So I interviewed at Rolex and IWC at Yorkdale.
Okay.
And I was just like, I just really was like, I was pretty much like ready to go because I was still living at home at that time with my parents, and like like I said, I wanted to start my life with my then girlfriend, now wife.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I had these ideas since I got into the business of doing these like comedy style videos.
Yeah.
And everyone told me, no, you can't do it. You're super young already. It's already going to be hard to be taken seriously. Don't hinder yourself more with these type of videos.
So you got talked out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
100% talked out of it. They just said, that's not how we do things in this industry.
Right. Now, were you always kind of funny growing up, or like a class clown? And
Class clown.
Right.
Always like I would, like my dad and I would watch like stand up. Like I've loved stand up comedy forever. I've never done it or anything, but like we would always, every Friday night, my dad and I, we'd watch a movie or something, and it'd either be like stand up. And like, I just feel like when people were watching like Teletoon or Nickelodeon, I was watching like Robin Williams and Richard Pryor and shit. So like when I was like 9 years old. So I feel like there was like some type of like beat that I kind of, when you watch it from such a young age, and like kids weren't supposed to be watching those things, right. But it was like, it's just what I loved. Like I just loved the storytelling and the comedy that they would do. So I had these comedy ideas, and then I was like, well, whatever, I'm thinking about getting out of the business, why don't I just try this? If it doesn't work, then I'm already getting out, who cares? So I had this listing come out, and it was I call it my pity listing. It was my mom's cousin. She felt like she had to use me. Uh-huh. And it was this place in Bowmanville, and it was rough. It had a lot, there's mold, and none of the appliances worked. There's a hole in the roof. And I was like, well, I'll try like something to market this, like a kind of fresh new approach. So had my wife come and film on my iPhone. I had no nice video camera or mics or anything, just an idea I thought was funny. And I did that video, and it's still, I think, my fastest selling listing ever, 5 or 6 hours on the market. It sold, and I thought this was going to be one of the ones that would like kind of linger. Mm-hmm. I released it. The video immediately got the most traction I'd ever got on social media, so that was cool enough. And
where? Instagram, YouTube? Okay.
Instagram and Facebook mainly.
Okay.
So that was like enough. And then I got 3 offers that day, and it sold over asking for a place that like really was rough. And,
right.
And I just remember sitting down that night and was like, something I did there worked. So now I need to explore this.
Right. And you think it was a comedy element is what really kind of took it over the edge?
I think, because 2 of the offers before they showed it, who they ended up offering, they actually called me and said, oh, we just saw your video. Like they saw the video before they saw it on MLS. So I thought that was really cool that it it went mini viral for me at the time. So I just thought that element was like, it helped the listing, and then it helped me be more known.
Right.
So I liked that. And then the next couple months, so that was August 2019. The next couple months, I was just like, okay, I'm just doing these comedy videos 2, 3, 4 times a week. And some were good, some were not. That was like my real trial and error phase, where I'm just like, okay, this one was good, this one wasn't. What did I do differently? And just really trying to like dissect that.
Right. And then basing it on likes and comments and feedback.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Just because at that time I was having really no success in the business. So like the recognition on Instagram and growing the account was like enough to keep me in a bit more. I was actually having fun for the first time.
Right.
And it was August 2019. It wasn't until February 2020 where I posted this video of me dressed like I just got a place for my buyers. And I dressed up like Freddie Mercury.
That's awesome. I was just watching that one before you came in here.
So I did that. It was like the most random idea.
Yeah. But holy shit, you look like him in that video.
Yeah. So that all started, I was like way back when my wife was still in college. We would she went to college in Aurelia at Lakehead, and we would get breakfast every morning on like a Wednesday morning before she went back to school at Sunset Grill in Ajax.
Yeah.
And just one day, the waitress was like, Freddie. She kept yelling Freddie. I was like, who's yelling Fred? And then she came out. She's like, has anyone ever told you look like Freddie Mercury?
Yeah.
So I had the mustache at the time.
Right.
And yeah, and then that's actually the first line in the video too. And I was just like, oh, that'd be funny. And I filmed that, and I thought it was just like too stupid. I almost didn't post it. I sat on it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just had nothing to post that week, and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I remember being so nervous that I was just gonna get like lit up in the comments, and I posted it, and I just went about my day, and then I opened Instagram like an hour later or whatever, and it went like crazy for me at the time, and then the next day I had a comment on Facebook and said, love this, and the comment was from Ryan Surant.
Yes.
And then that's
awesome.
From there on, I always say that's the video that changed the entire course of my career.
Yeah.
Because it just gave me all the confidence in the world. Like a little suburban kid, doesn't really know what he's doing, could get the attention of arguably one of the most influential people in our industry. That's pretty cool. Who's not even in our country.
Yeah.
Like I could get his attention. There's nothing I can't do in terms of attention. And it just made a lot of sense that like these are just commercials for my business. And if I can just stay top of mind and start conversations, that's all I need. Yeah. And I can leverage that.
So there's a couple things there that you said that I think is really important, which was number one, like I heard this from Joe Rogan, post and ghost. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just good just to do a post and you just step back and you just see what happens, right? Number two, and I tell this to my team as well too, is that just shoot the video, but it doesn't mean you have to post it.
No.
Just do it. Just start getting comfortable with actually talking in front of that camera. And that makes such a big difference. And then eventually, you'll start, like, I think what you and I guarantee this is probably for you as well too, you've probably just done like maybe 10,000 hours now of video.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that it works. You're not going to be amazing on your first one, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I showed at that conference that you saw me at, I showed my first video.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Huge difference.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And I always say that, like, you need to get comfortable because we all know people they're the most, personable people we've ever met. Then you get them in front of a camera and they're stiff up and they're a robot. It's because as soon as, everyone says, oh, you just got to be yourself on video. But when that red light hits you, yourself goes away real quick. I don't know what it is. It just something comes over people.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Just do it. I always say, film something and just know you're not even going to post it. Just get comfortable with it. And then once you're comfortable with that, film it a couple weeks later and know that, okay, maybe I'm going to show my team this time just to get their criticism, and then keep doing that and show people close to you who will, people who will really give you fair criticism. I'm not a fan of surrounding yourself with yes men. Mm-hmm. I've surrounded myself with people who will tell me if the video's not good, or because you need that.
Yeah.
You need people to tell it, because there's so much shit on there where I see someone post it, I'm like, it's great you're trying, and you see all their team, oh, this is the best, you're so good, but it's not, and that's actually hindering their growth.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about the art of storytelling, because you're obviously really good at it. Where do you think you got that skill set from? Is it, again, just from, being that class clown? Is it like, did you go to school for that? Like, what was it? Is it just a natural? Is it like in your genius? Are you working in your genius?
I don't know. I've always loved, like I said, those Friday, Saturday nights. Like, I remember for years and years and years, from probably, 7 to like 14, 15, I'd be at home every night with my dad watching a different movie, from comedians to like Problem Child to The Sting to Ocean's 11, just like all these like Goodfellas, like all these movies. And I just loved the creativity, and I don't know if that's rubbed off on me, just like always being there. Oh, and Rocky's my favorite. Yeah. Rocky 4.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I just have always loved like a great story.
That reminds me as well too, when I was a kid, because I remember my dad used to be a storyteller. And anytime we had friends over, everybody would always kind of be around him. And I was always trying to study and figure out the art of storytelling because there was something that he was doing.
Yeah.
And I remember when he was done, I'd be like, oh, okay, I know that story, but it's not exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
So he would add a few different twists to it to make it more exciting.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
You
I was
need
like,
to do that. That's the most important part of storytelling. You are allowed to embellish.
yes.
You're allowed to, because if you just tell a story, like my wife, I love her with all my heart, but her storytelling, she'll tell the story for 20 minutes and she'll tell you every single detail. So I was at the red light, but then I realized, the Kleenex wasn't in my, the Kleenex was actually in my passenger. No, it doesn't matter to the story at all. She's just now rambling on thinking about,
Right.
and then the window was open, and then it blew in my hair, and then my hair. But she's trying to tell a story about seeing her friend, but
Right.
she's telling, it's about finding the parts the important parts of the story, the integral parts of the story, but you have to cut the fat, you have to trim the fat, and then also embellish parts to really like draw people in. I mean, the art of storytelling, and it's a constant, like, I think it's the best skill someone could have, because like you said, your dad just, people gravitate towards that. And especially being in sales, we're not in sales, we're in marketing, we're in, this isn't a transactional business as much as people think it is, and like as much heat as real estate agents get. It's a relationship business, and like building those relationships, and just like people want connection now more than ever with all this AI shit and all that. Like people want to connect with another human, so we need to give them, a reason to do that. And I think not trying to hone in those storytelling skills would be a real disservice
Right.
to you for your business.
So what platform you are working mostly on? Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then is it a scalable business on Instagram? Like, are you able to now kind of take a look at metrics to saying, okay, based on the growth that I've had and the followers that I have right now, I should be able to get X amount of deals out of this? Like, do you monitor that? Do you have a team that does that for you?
I do. I don't have a team
Okay.
that does it, but I do. A lot of my business comes from agent referral. So
Okay.
I do a lot of sphere of influence, agent referral, which has been great. Like, it was something I didn't even think about.
Right.
But as I was growing this early on, like the comedy style videos, it was all agents following me. And then
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So agents from like different parts of Ontario were like, hey, I got a client.
States, I just did one for a guy from LA.
Yeah.
Referred me a place in Vaughan for $2.2 million. Like, it's
Really?
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're getting more business from referrals as opposed to clients reaching out to you.
From Instagram until I started doing that. So I have two types of content. I have the kind of content for the agents,
Yeah.
and that just brings the following on. And then I have the listing videos, which is the content still for the agents, because they like to see it and get ideas or whatever. But then that's also the content for the clients. So the last video I just did, 47 Bennington Heights, that was we ended up selling for 4.4 million in Toronto. And we just did this big campaign of pretty much the house. It was narrated by the house. So the house was talking about how much love they had for the family.
I saw that one. That was a great,
Thank you.
video. Yeah.
So that kind of stuff now is putting me, like, clients are reaching out from that, and clients want that type of video for their home. But then also,
Because I was a little bit more serious as well too.
That was the first one, and that's what I've really wanted to do. Like, I love, like, Jordan Peele's a great example of this. He started like comedy skits, and now he does like the coolest, like, serious, scary movies.
Yeah.
And like Jonah Hill did it, and like I love that transition from like comedy to more serious. Obviously, this is on a much lesser scale, but I've always wanted to do stuff that like more emotion and stuff like that. I was really, really nervous to do that one because it had been all comedy up until then, and I didn't know how people would take it.
Now, was that your idea?
Yeah.
Okay. So your idea, and then you obviously had like what, like a small little crew to kind of put it all together, or was it like just like an iPhone thing again?
No, that was I have a videographer now that we work for the listing videos. Now we have, I have my videographer who's great, and we work really, really well together. So yeah, for that I wrote it, I directed it, and then the videographer also directed and did like the editing and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that was like a passion project a little bit, and it's it was really cool too, because we sold it in 4 days. We sold it over asking, and the buyers actually wrote a note to our sellers saying that they would love to create the same memories that the family did in the video, and they even called the house Benny, which we named.
Okay.
So it was a really cool kind of full circle. It was listed at 4.4 million. House down the street a week before sold for 3.8. So it was like, it was a really, really cool success story. Our clients were so happy, and it's all about the clientele too. Like that particular client was, I think, she really appreciated the marketing and the creative side of things. Yeah. So you kind of have to play on that too. So digging a little bit deeper into the art of storytelling. So would you say then like the comedy stuff is more actually geared towards realtors, where like the storytelling piece of it is actually, it kind of captures the clients? Is that a fair assessment? Yeah, I think so. I mean, definitely the comedy stuff will help. Like I did a Mario one around Halloween. And I don't really like, since that Freddie Mercury thing, I've tried to like get away from the gimmicky like dress up thing. But I was like, whatever, it's Halloween, I can kind of get away with it. And they really wanted a comedy style video, the client. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, whatever, like I'll do that. But yeah, I think for the most part, I think this one connected in a way that I'd never seen before. I have a way smaller following on TikTok, and I don't really enjoy posting on TikTok because it's so like negative all the time. Like people are like, I don't know, anything you post, like a lot of my comedy especially is like very sarcastic and dry, and if people can't pick up on that beat, they just take it for what it is, and it's just horrible to like, oh, so you don't care about your buyer at all. It's like, no, I'm just like, I'm being sarcastic. Right. It's just like, and it's just like tough. But Benny, that emotional one was the first one I posted on TikTok, where even just like random people who weren't real estate agents would be like, wow, this was really, really good. Good luck on your sale. Now, I'm sure your clients see you and they watch your skits on Instagram. Do they now say, hey, look, I want to use your services, and this is the idea that I have? They haven't had an idea for me yet. Okay. But I would be open to it for sure. They just kind of, it's finally, I'm getting to a place where the clients are just trusting me. Right. It's just like, you did that, do whatever you want. We trust that it's going to be good for the house. Because like, also did like a Tony Hawk one for a smaller condo. Oh, that with the skateboard? Yeah. So, I like that one. That was like a little video game kind of. Yeah. So like that kind of thing. And just like, the emotional one wouldn't have worked for a property like that. So it's like about finding, what will work, what wouldn't. That house was just like, it was just like the perfect house for that kind of emotion. But that's the thing that I love most now, is like people are calling us because of these videos, and they know what they're going to get. The talks about like commission cutting and stuff is way less. There's way less competition. We're not really competing as much anymore because they're calling us because they know they want to work with us. Right. And they just like, I don't like being micromanaged, especially when like this is, I'm doing everything to get you the most exposure and the best price. And just, if you just let me do what I do, I'll do the best it could possibly be for what it is. So that's really cool. And yeah. And that's always sometimes the hard part as well too, is that, your clients want you to get them top dollars, but they want to give you like, 1%. Yeah. And it's difficult because you can't advertise the home properly. You can't get them what they really want. And other agents now that see that, they're like, well, I'm not going to show your home. I don't think they understand that sometimes, right? Is that, 1%? Well, I'm skipping this home. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's just, and you try and like, you try and kind of map that out for them. And sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes they do. But like, I'm okay now to walk away.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a great power and privilege to have in our industry, as I'm sure you have as well. Like, you get to a point where it's like, I can't make that happen. Like, I can't, if you want me to list it $200,000 over market value,
right?
It's a waste of my time and your time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not going to be that guy who chases you down for 6 months to get the price, you know, probably lower than the initial price I told you to list at. Not going to be that guy, and I'm okay with walking away because, you know, I'm not desperate for that commission. You know, I want to help you sell your house, and I love to do it, but I'm not desperate, and I'm never going to be that like desperate agent who's like, oh, you got to take this, you know.
Yeah, it's a good
and we don't
place
have
to
to do that anymore. You know, that's just not the place we have to be. A lot of people ask too, like, how do you get the clients to allow you to do this at their house? Like, you know, for Benny, we had actors and makeup artists, and like, you know, the other one, I'm dressed up as Mario, and like, it's just like,
Yeah.
And what I always say is it's how you present it to them. Like, now I have a great analytics section in our listing presentation of like, well, this is what the videos, you know, these are the views it gets, the comments, the shares, like it's all mapped out for them. It's like, some of them, yeah, it's like a silly video, but like, we're trying to get you the most exposure.
Right.
That's what this is doing. We still do all the traditional, like just the walkthrough video and the nice photography. We do that. That's standard. But like, for that doesn't hit on social media. Social media is a different type of marketing, and that's what I always try to explain to our client is like, we have to do something that's a little more hooky, a little more just creative. And that's the thing that's going to like stand out on social media. And we want to be able to, you know, get exposure on all different platforms. So social media, you know, whether people like it or not, it's a big aspect of the industry now.
Yeah. What other platforms are you on? So I know you're not really big on the TikTok, but you still do it. Instagram is kind of like your main bread and butter. YouTube, Facebook.
YouTube a little bit. Facebook's not big. It's not a big following, but it is a pretty like loyal, and stuff does happen on Facebook from that. But Instagram's definitely my main, like, where I can really kind of just like, because you have to, when you do these videos, you have to like direct them somewhere too. So that's my best lane to direct the most amount of people to wherever I want to direct them on the page. So yeah, Instagram's definitely the main one. YouTube, I'm gonna start do some different content on YouTube. I love like interior design as well, so I've been trying to come out with like a kind of HGTV style show, but more like not as lame. Right. I feel like there's just too many lame real estate shows. I'm just trying to do something like kind of like the Gordon Ramsay of real estate. You know, a little more edgy.
Right, a little more edgy. Some cussing, Karen. Exactly. All right, no, fair enough. One last question before we move on to the last topic is, where do you get your ideas of for storytelling? Like, do you take a look at, like, I know for me, sometimes I'll look at other realtors and see what they're doing. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like that. Yeah. And then maybe kind of flavor it in or sprinkle it in. Do you do that as well too?
Not as much realtors. Okay. But I do like just movies, commercials that I've loved. Like, I've always just been so aware of that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I really love that commercial. I really loved that movie. Even like I said, I don't have any training in like directing or writing or cinematography or anything, but like even when I'm watching a movie, I would always just be like, I love that shot. Like, I just love how they did that. So like now when I'm doing that, I'm just like, when I'm directing or whatever our video, it's like, I don't know how to achieve the shot, but I'm like, you need to make it look like this. Right. And a great videographer is such an asset because they can really bring your vision to life if you're on the same page. But yeah, it's just kind of like I'm always looking at things from a real estate lens. So anything that happens, I'm like, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that made me feel something. Right. How can I put a real estate twist on this? Right. And then
do you kind of make like notes, like how many hours? Many notes. Okay, so you got notes and you got like your little kind of creativity notepad where you're writing everything down.
Yeah. On the way here, I saw something like a bird or something, and I wrote like a note down. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting, and just wrote a note, and then I'll visit that later. Right. Yeah. And it just is what it is, and yeah. So just Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
fun.
I do the same thing as well too. So that's good to know. Good to know. All right. Last topic that I want to touch on is, what can real estate agents do in this market? You know, it's been a very difficult market. We know that there's been a lot of real estate agents that have actually left the real estate game because of the challenges. What would you say, or what type of advice would you give a realtor who might be struggling today, right now, that they could do?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I always go to, like, there's so many things in this business you can do that don't cost you anything. You could make a great social page. You can door knock. You could cold call. You can do open houses. There's so much you can do to get business in 90, 120 days out that, you know, you don't have to pay for. So, unfortunately, it's most of the time not, you know, the stuff you do right now, you're not going to see for 90 days, 120 days. Like, that's pretty normal, right? Like,
Yeah.
And it's a long game. So, like, you know, I'm like the funny, silly guy on Instagram, but people don't see, like, the intense follow-up I'll do to get the listing, to get, you know, to consistently stay. And I don't do, like, traditional, like, email drips and campaigns. Like, I'm following up by calls, text messages, DMs, like, me every time. Like, I do that. It's in my calendar. Like, I'm crazy like that. So it's just like finding the thing that you're good at, because we're not all good at the same thing. I know so many people who crush door knocking. They have an incredible business by door knocking. I'm horrible at door knocking. Right. I don't know why. I just fucking suck at door knocking, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, so there's just a bad combo. And I'd say you need to try everything long enough, because you're not going to know what you're good at. You're not going to know what you like, because you can't door knock for a week and say it doesn't work. You know, so you got to try these. You got to put in, like, a crazy amount of hours. Like, unfortunately, you know, it's not going to just, like, fall in your lap unless you have, like, rich family with rich friends, like, which I didn't have, which not a lot of people have.
And that's a good point. Like, you just got to put the work in. I think people just expect, like, okay, I'm going to join this brokerage, and now I'm going to get, like, these online leads, and these leads are just going to land in my lap, and I'm just going to make millions. And it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
Like, you got to put the work in. And you're right. Like, and I think also too, you got to try everything, and then figure out what you're good at, or what you enjoy doing as well too, and then just kind of work in your genius. Like, for me, the first year, I would just, I put aside $1,500, and every week I just sat down and I had coffee or lunch or dinner with somebody in my sphere of influence. And I didn't even talk about real estate.
Yeah.
I just connected with them, because they knew why I was calling them. They already knew.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, wow, okay. And then usually sometimes at the end, and I would kind of touch on it a little bit. But other than that, though, but they were getting to know me again. It was almost like a reacquaintance.
Yeah.
And then that just opened up so many doors, because you never know where a conversation can take you.
100%. That's, I think, the thing agents do the worst. It's like, you don't have to constantly shove it down people's throat that you're in real estate. Oh, call me for a free home event. Like, we get it. You're in real estate.
Right.
Show your passions. Share your family. Share, like, you know, things that you're comfortable sharing. Like, I always say, even if you're going to do, like, a market update video, do it in a place where, like, you have maybe some shelves behind you with your favorite book, your favorite album, your favorite sports team. So you're giving the value you want to give those people, but they're also seeing, oh, they like that. Oh, they like that artist. They like, you know, it gives your potential clientele something to look at, something to connect with. Because I think, like I said before, that connection is real. And I think that's how you'll, like, really kind of build that trust. Like, there's so many, like I said, I love watches. As soon as I find another watch person, like, immediate connection. And I'm sure you have that with whatever you like. Like,
yeah, well, I like watches too.
Okay, there you go. So, like, as soon as you kind of get that, it's like, there's an instant connection, and you just kind of gravitate towards that person. You like that person, and then, you know, and then you build that connection from there. But it's fine if you build the connection off something that's not real estate related. I get a lot of people, like, I wear a lot of band shirts and stuff, and people will say, like, oh, I love the Ramones. Now I know something about that person that not a lot of people know. And that, you know, I can just kind of follow that and just make genuine connections. It's like, it is what it is. If they're going to work with you, they're going to work with you.
Yeah.
If they're not, they're not. But you're not going to get them to work with you by like messaging them every day.
Yeah. What type of systems do you have in place, or what type of tools or platforms are you using to kind of keep in touch with your clients?
Honestly, it's for the Instagram, it's just like DMs, and like I put everything in like calendars.
Okay.
I'm very unconventional.
Okay.
I'm very,
I like to hear this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll put things in calendars. So like.
So in your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, because I want real connections. Like I said, like I know drip campaigns are amazing and stuff like that, and we'll do them every now and then. But I like that, like, hey, like I have a client whose daughter's going in for surgery tomorrow. Like, I'm gonna talk to them about that and just like be there for them. And I just think that genuine, like I want to be there for them. And that's like, I don't know, when I talk to people, it's just like any kind of information I can get, their birthday, their dog's birthday, that's all on my calendar.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's just like, you get the notification, oh, it's Cindy's birthday. What's up, Cindy? Happy birthday.
Yeah. And there's something different too about doing it via text as opposed to Facebook, because it's coming right from you. Like, it feels more authentic and real, and 100%. It is.
Yeah. Or that group, that blast email, which is great. I'm not by any means, like, those are huge. And like, if you have a large open rate, like, those could be wild for your business. But like, you're right. The thing of like you taking the time to actually thumb out those words means so much more. And so that's like the main thing I focus on is like trying to get that real, because like we're not a team that does like 150 deals a year, so I can still do it. It's been really cool the last like year, especially. Anna and I started working together last March or April, and price point has gone up. So like you can do kind of less deals, higher price point. That's what I've always wanted to do. Because now I can really focus in on the stuff I like the creative stuff, and really like work on those.
I like that you said that too, because, I remember one year I did 40 transactions. I'm like, I never want to do that many again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hear people like, I want to be like 100 plus. And like, I have zero interest in that. I can live very comfortable doing less than that. And now building my team, I can even do even less now.
Yeah.
And this is like one of those years now where I think I've done like one transaction so far this year. And I'm really trying to keep it to maybe 2 or 3 because I want my team to do that now. So I can work on more, like you're saying, the creative stuff and the videos and things that I really kind of want to work on, as opposed to, I've done real estate long enough. I'm good. So I want to try other things as well too.
100%. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like there's this like, people feel like they need to, there's a script that people, I want to do 100 deals. I want to do. Why?
Yeah. And listen, if that's what you want to do, truly want to do that, okay, cool. But understand why you want to do 100 deals.
I've never heard of like a single agent who does like, that many deals who's like happy.
Yeah.
Like, which is, I'm sure they're out there somewhere. I've heard your story a lot. Like 40, 50, 60 deals. Like, no fucking way. Not again.
No. I did it once and I was good. I was like, okay. And I think it was almost more like proving to myself that I could 100%. Do it. Can I rock this? Can I actually pick up the phone and make this thing work?
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. To me, like, my most important priority is like my wife. And I would happily do less deals every year to spend more time with
100%.
her, and family, and like, it's cool. Like, I think agents, we just have to be like grateful. If we're good at what we do, we can really create an amazing life for us and our family. And like, even my dad and I are big Boston Bruins fans. And, I got to take him to a game and, like, surprise him and stuff like that. That's the kind of shit I'm into. Like, just spending, like, being able to work, but not work to the point where I'm just, like, exhausted every night and I don't get that time to spend, because you're never going to get that time back, and you're never going to be, like, this age again where you have the energy to, like, so work hard, but like don't forget what you're working hard for.
Such a good point, because so many people get caught up in return on investment and ROI, and it's really return on time is what we're really chasing after. I actually just did a talk last week talking about, like, first I started off with financial freedom, so trying to get the money.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, okay, hold on a second. No, what I'm really trying to get is time. And then now that I got the time, I'm like, oh, well, no, I actually want geographical freedom.
Right.
I want to be able to travel now and see the world.
Yeah.
And so I think it's about like really understanding why you're doing what you're doing.
100%. Like we hear about like your why all the time, but I feel like people use that as an excuse because they're saying they're doing it for them, but like, you know, your family and your kids and whatever, but like what they want the most is for you to be there.
Yes.
You know?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, but like I'm tired of the chase in this industry, like the fancy belts and cars, and everyone shows their red bottom shoes. It's just like, what do we do? Like, if you like that, great, but like, it's just like I drive a Subaru. I'm fine with it. If you like nice cars, that's great, good for you. It doesn't affect your price point. It doesn't affect what clientele you'll have. People make these weird, like, oh, well, you need a nice car to be a luxury agent. You don't. Yeah. You don't really, you know, you need to be a good agent to be a luxury agent.
You know, that reminds me of a quote that I heard the other day. And it's like, if you own something and you can't give it away, then you don't own it. It owns you. And you know, that really kind of hit me. I was like, yeah, that's right. Can you just sell your home, and can you just sell your cars, and can you sell your possessions and not feel like, oh my God, I'm losing my self-identity?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's important. I feel like, you know, now more than ever, we can no longer talk about our value. We have to show our value. Yeah. And that's where, you know, what I'm trying to do with that Benny video and stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to really show, you know, there's levels, and people can do different things. We're not just money hungry agents looking for our next deal. Like, this is an emotional thing for a lot of these buyers and sellers, and I want to be there on that journey with you. And it's not about like all the things I have, or, you know, it's never been about that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I want to wrap it up with 4 questions here. So first one is, what's the biggest mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from it?
Okay. I don't know if this is the biggest, but this was like horror. So one of my first deals. Yeah. It was actually, I was pretty happy with the execution. I got a condition of sale of buyer's property, and I got the condition extended for like months, like 2 months or 3 months. So it was like really
conditional.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we finally did it. Sold the property. Yeah. And then I didn't send in a notice of fulfillment because I didn't know you had to. It was it was first like 6 months, and I was just like, oh yeah, I got this deal done. And then the agent called me. He's like, oh, you're like, the time's up. Like, the irrevocable, you said till like 6 p.m. on this date. It's not here. What happened? And I was like, I didn't want to be like, what are you talking about? So I was like freaking out. I was like, oh, my assistant forgot to send it. And I was like freaking out. And then I had to I sent it the next day. Yeah. Which not enough agents they should be more firm on that irrevocable time. So many agents on these deals, oh, don't worry if it's past the irrevocable time. No, I am worried. It's null and void past the irrevocable time. Yeah. You could pull out of that, like, it's null and void. It's not a firm offer if you're past that time. Right. I am so strict on that. I don't know, like, where people have like lost that like sense of urgency to just get it, 11:59. Don't send it to me the next morning. Yeah. It's
a dead deal. Yeah.
It's a dead deal. Like, it really is. You do not, especially now, you do not want to be giving these people any excuse to be able to pull out of a deal. Mm-hmm. So,
Okay. So, but the deal did close.
The deal did close. All but that good. Was like, I don't know. That's just the one on the top of my head. I was like, oh, shit.
All right. Best and worst day.
Best and worst day. Best day or best like kind of week, I did like, so after that, off the heels of that Freddie Mercury video, though the buyers, so off the heels of that, I double ended my first deal, So it was like 1.6 altogether. And then the next week from that video, I got a $2.25 million deal.
That's crazy.
And up until then, I think the most money I'd made in my 3 years leading up was probably about $80,000 or $90,000 for all 3 years. And then
boom.
It was there within 2 weeks.
Right.
And it was just like, whoa.
Okay.
Like,
I got this. I can do this.
Yeah.
That must have gave you like a huge boost of confidence.
So much.
Yeah.
I just never even seen. I thought I was rich.
Yeah.
Rich.
Because now it almost feels you can relax a bit now and say, okay, so let me be myself. Let me just, okay, I got something here.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome.
So that was definitely the best. I don't know about worse. Like, I really try and put a positive twist, like, on whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
It happened for a reason, and I need to learn from that and make sure it doesn't happen again. And it's gonna make me better moving forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely been a couple times where it's been like tight, or I'm just trying to figure out what my next move is, and just feeling kind of down. But I get myself out of those moods really fast, just because it's like, okay, this is how I like to look at it. I'm very like family oriented.
Yep.
And no matter, to me, I already won. I married my high school sweetheart. Like, I love her. She's the best. We're best friends. We have this beautiful house. I won. All this shit is just icing on the cake. This is just shit I do.
Yeah, it's just.
But I won. When I go home, I won.
Right.
You know?
That's a great way to look at it.
If you have that mindset, I just feel like there's so much to be grateful for in everyone's life. You can find things to be grateful for and just focus on that, because that's what you're going to get. If you keep dwelling on things, you're going to get more of that.
Yeah.
But if you just find the shit you're grateful for, that's going to come back at you.
Yeah, I can't agree with more. Like, there's a mentor that I've got. He's like in his 60s, late 60s now, and he's like, Gary, it's just a game. And I think as you get older, you start to realize that, like, just have fun with it. Like, enjoy it. Like, don't take it too seriously. You know, and well, also too, like, I always like to try and put things in a positive spin myself. Mm-hmm. So I got a pinched nerve right now. It's been like 2 weeks. It is hell.
In your back?
Yeah, I literally get maybe about 2.5 hours sleep every night now. Like, I literally wake up in pain.
Yeah.
And so we were having our leadership meeting this morning, and they're like, oh, we heard of what's going on. I'm like, yeah, you know what though? It's just a reminder that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And so you just got to kind of take a look. Like, it'll get better eventually, right? But you always got to look at things with a positive spin.
I had that happen.
What, pinched nerve?
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Shit. I was literally just getting water, and I just like turned the wrong way, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then the next morning, I was like, it stayed for about a month.
Yeah.
And it's funny how much you take for granted.
Yes.
When you don't have a pinched nerve.
Oh,
I know.
Like, and it's just like shooting down my arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we're doing this podcast, it's
really?
like, oh yeah.
Damn.
I feel like I got a lightsaber there.
It's crazy.
We'll wrap it up with this. What's the best advice that you've received, or something that you can share to kind of leave this podcast off with?
I always think about like best advice, and a lot of the times I actually like to flip it, and I talk about like there's role models, and then there's role models you don't ever want to be like. Mm-hmm. And I always focus on that, because there's so many people who I've encountered in this industry where I see and I'm like, I never want to be you. You're a dick, you know, or you're a money hungry ass, or like whatever. And I look at those people and it's like, okay, I'm never going to be that. How do I never become that? And that's what I focus on more. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great quotes that I love, like just like quotes. It wasn't really advice, but like a one I just looked at recently was like, people are going to forget the things you say. They're going to forget the things you do, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel.
Love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones as well too.
And so I try and live by that, and and then also a smooth sea never made for a skilled sailor. So whenever you're going through a rough patch, just know this is the growth.
Yeah.
And everything good comes after that rough patch.
Yeah.
So.
Well, people want to work with people who have gone through those, right? Because, you can navigate these waters with me. Thank you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. 100%.
Matt, thank you very much for this. I appreciate it. If people want to learn more about your, reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Instagram, probably matt.leonetti. You can follow me there. And, Honored to be on here.
Awesome.
Really excited. It was a great convo.
Yeah,
Thanks
it
for
was.
having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for popping in, and I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll do this again.
Awesome.
All right, brother. Take it easy.